Picture a world gripped by terror, a city in flames. Two leaders, one a fiery American president, the other a young African hero crushing terrorism with unmatched skill. In one explosive TV showdown, their clash reveals who truly leads and who merely boasts. This is a story that changed history, where courage outshines arrogance and truth triumphs over pride. It was a quiet May morning in Los Angeles in 2025. At 9:15 a.m., explosions rang out across the city. Three coordinated attacks had simultaneously struck LAX airport, the financial hub, and a military base. 47 people killed, hundreds injured. Within minutes, news of the attack dominated every American television network. President Trump was in a meeting in the Oval Office when he received the news. "Mr. President, we have an emergency situation in Los Angeles," his national security chief said, rushing into the room. Coordinated terrorist attacks, multiple casualties. Trump immediately called an emergency meeting of the National Security Council. "Who was it?" he asked, his face flushed with anger. "Still investigating, sir, but the pattern suggests an international terrorist group," the CIA director replied. In Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traoré watched the news with genuine concern. At 35, he had fought enough terrorism to understand the devastation such attacks wreak on the families of victims. "Prepare a message of condolence to the American people," he told Dr. Alansky Drago, his foreign minister. "Terrorism is the enemy of humanity, regardless of where it occurs." But Ibrahim could not have foreseen that Trump would use this tragedy to publicly attack him in a way that would shock the entire world. At 2 p.m., Trump appeared on national television to address the nation about the attacks. His opening statement was appropriate. Words of condolence, promises of justice, national unity. But then, he veered into dangerous territory. "This attack shows why America needs strong leadership, not amateurs playing at fighting terrorism," Trump said, clearly referring to foreign leaders. "Some young presidents can impress the media with fake numbers, but real terrorism requires real experience." The comment was obviously directed at Ibrahim Traoré, who had become a respected international figure for his counterterrorism successes in the Sahel. Trump continued his national address in a way that left political analysts reeling. "While America is under real attacks, some African leaders are bragging about their imaginary successes against terrorism," he said, without naming Ibrahim directly, but making an obvious reference. Maybe if they spent less time lecturing at universities and more time learning from real professionals, the world would be a safer place. Trump's words drew immediate outrage. Using a national tragedy to attack a foreign ally was unprecedented in American diplomatic history. Social media exploded with bipartisan criticism. Trump is using American deaths to attack an African president who is actually fighting terrorism, tweeted a Democratic senator. This is a new low even for him. In newsrooms around the world, editors scrambled to cover an extraordinary development. CNN immediately offered Ibrahim airtime to respond to Trump's attacks. "President Traoré, would you like to respond to President Trump live?" Anderson Cooper asked in a call from Ouagadougou. Ibrahim, who had spent hours preparing a respectful message of condolence, now faced a unique dilemma, responding to attacks during a time of American national mourning. "Mr. Cooper," Ibrahim said after a careful pause, "the tragedy in Los Angeles deserves respect, not political exploitation. But if President Trump wants to compare counterterrorism records live, I'll take it." The decision was made. At 8 p.m. Eastern Time, CNN would broadcast a live confrontation between Trump and Ibrahim, with Los Angeles still burning in the background. It was an unprecedented moment in history. An American president being confronted by an African leader during a national tragedy. Dr. Drago warned Ibrahim, "President, this is very risky. Trump is emotionally shaken and he can say anything. That's exactly why I need to respond," Ibrahim said. "He is using tragedy to spread lies about our work. This cannot go unanswered." At 8 p.m. sharp, CNN broadcast live the most tense showdown in American television history. Anderson Cooper moderated from the Atlanta studio, with Trump connected from the White House and Ibrahim from Ouagadougou. "President Trump," Cooper began, "your remarks earlier seemed to criticize foreign leaders during a time of national mourning. Can you clarify? Trump was visibly agitated. Anderson, while Americans are dying, some world leaders are pretending to be experts on counterterrorism. It's time to stop being politically correct and tell the truth. President Traoré, Cooper continued, how do you respond to these allegations? Ibrahim took a deep breath, his calm voice contrasting with Trump's agitation. First, Mr. Cooper, I want to express my deepest condolences to the American people. The loss of innocent lives to terrorism is a tragedy no nation should have to endure. But Ibrahim continued, using this tragedy to spread disinformation about legitimate counterterrorism successes is disrespectful to both the victims and the truth. Trump immediately exploded. Disinformation? You lead a country that no one can find on a map. What successes do you have against real terrorism? Mr. President, Ibrahim replied calmly. Since 2022, Burkina Faso has reduced terrorist attacks by 89%. Our methods are studied by NATO, the Pentagon, and European intelligence agencies. Fake numbers. Trump shouted. You Africans always inflate statistics. Ibrahim maintained his preternatural composure. Mr. President, numbers are verified by your own agencies. The CIA, Pentagon, and State Department have copies of our operational reports. Furthermore, Ibrahim continued, as we speak, Los Angeles is under attack because American counterterrorism methods have failed. Maybe it's time to question the effectiveness of your own strategies. The comment hit Trump like a bombshell. Using security breach in LA to counterattack was a genius and devastating move. Anderson Cooper was visibly impressed by Ibrahim's diplomatic audacity. Trump, realizing that Ibrahim had turned the tables on him, tried to regain ground with more personal attacks. Ibrahim, you're 35. I've been fighting terrorism since before you were born. Mr. President, Ibrahim replied with devastating calm, age does not determine competence. Results do. And today, Los Angeles proves that age and experience do not guarantee security. How dare you? Trump yelled. America is safer than any African country. Mr. President, Ibrahim said, 47 Americans died today in these terrorist attacks. How many Burkinabe died in terrorist attacks this year? Trump hesitated, sensing what Ibrahim was getting at. That's different. It's different because our methods work, Ibrahim said inexorably. 0 civilian casualties from terrorism in Burkina Faso by 2025. America, 47 today, hundreds this year. Anderson Cooper was fascinated. President Traoré, are you suggesting that Burkina Faso's methods are superior to American ones? I'm saying the results speak for themselves, Ibrahim replied. We spend $50 million a year on counterterrorism, and we eliminate threats. America spends $50 billion and still gets attacked like this. Trump was now visibly desperate. You don't face real terrorism like we do. Mr. President, Ibrahim said, pulling out a document, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Boko Haram, Jnim, they all operate in our region. We face the same groups that attacked Los Angeles today. The difference is that we defeated them. You still get attacked by them. The remark was devastating. Trump had tried to downplay the threats Ibrahim faced, only to be reminded that the groups that attacked LA were the very ones Ibrahim had defeated. Maybe, Ibrahim suggested with a polite smile, it's time for America to learn from countries that have actually defeated terrorism, instead of just spending trillions fighting it. Trump's silence spoke louder than any answer. He had been completely dismantled by the leader he had tried to humiliate. Trump, realizing he was losing disastrously, made a fatal mistake by trying to intimidate Ibrahim with American military power. Ibrahim, you forget who you're talking to. America has military power that can destroy any country in hours. The threat was so inappropriate that even Anderson Cooper was shocked. Mr. President, are you threatening an allied foreign leader on national television? Ibrahim, however, remained unfazed. Mr. President, you just proved my point about inadequate leadership. Threatening allies when confronted with facts is exactly the kind of thinking that allows attacks like today's. Military power without strategic intelligence is useless. America has the largest military budget in the world. Yet Los Angeles was still attacked. Power without competence is waste. Trump was now completely out of control. You don't know anything about real power. I know about effective power, Ibrahim replied calmly. Real power is protecting your people, not threatening other leaders when they point out your shortcomings. Today, 47 Americans died because the system you lead failed. Instead of learning from the successes of others, you make threats and personal attacks. Ibrahim paused devastatingly. Mr. President, that is the difference between a leader and a demagogue. Leaders protect their people. Demagogues protect their egos. Anderson Cooper was clearly impressed. President Traoré, those are very strong words. They are necessary words, Ibrahim said. While Mr. Trump attacks me, American families mourn the dead who could be alive if America used effective methods instead of relying solely on big budgets. I offered again. Our experts are available to share techniques that work. Pride should not prevent America from saving American lives. Trump turned off his camera without responding, leaving Ibrahim alone on screen. Mr. Cooper, Ibrahim said directly to the camera, to the American people, I offer sincere condolences and real help. Politics should not prevent cooperation that saves lives. The world had witnessed Trump's complete demolition by the leader he had tried to humiliate during a national tragedy. In the minutes after the confrontation, American social media exploded with unprecedented reactions. Trump meltdown and Traoré destroyed trended instantly. But surprisingly, most comments supported Ibrahim, not Trump. Trump threatened an allied leader on national TV during a tragedy. This is a new low, tweeted a moderate Republican senator. Ibrahim Traoré showed more leadership in 20 minutes than Trump has in 4 years, wrote a former American general. At the White House, Trump's aides were in a state of panic. Mr. President, you threatened an allied leader on national TV. His chief of staff said desperately, this will have massive diplomatic repercussions. He disrespected me. Trump yelled, no one talks to the President of the United States like that. Sir, he just cited fact about counterterrorism effectiveness. His national security advisor tried to explain, and our own Pentagon confirms those facts. Meanwhile, world leaders reacted with shock to Trump's threats. Emmanuel Macron tweeted, threats to allied leaders during tragedies are unacceptable. President Traoré has shown exemplary dignity. Canada's Justin Trudeau was more blunt. Ibrahim Traoré offered genuine assistance while facing inappropriate attacks. That is true international leadership. More devastating for Trump, leaders in his own party began publicly criticizing him. Using a national tragedy to attack allies is unbecoming conduct, a senior Republican senator said. President Traoré responded with more class than our own president. CNN immediately commissioned polls on public reaction. Preliminary results showed that 67% of Americans considered Trump's behavior inappropriate during a national crisis. Ibrahim Traoré had gained respect from Americans, while Trump had lost support even from his base. At American universities, international relations professors were already planning to include the confrontation in curricula as a case study on how not to conduct diplomacy during a crisis. 3 hours after the confrontation, an unexpected development completely changed the narrative. The FBI announced that it had arrested terrorist cells planning similar attacks in Chicago and Miami, using intelligence provided by Burkina Faso. Information shared by Burkina Faso's intelligence services allowed us to identify and neutralize imminent threats, the FBI director announced in an emergency press conference. We estimate that we saved hundreds of American lives. The irony was brutal. While Trump was attacking Ibrahim on TV, Burkina Faso's intelligence was literally saving American lives. Anderson Cooper returned to the air with explosive news. We have just learned that during our program, intelligence from Burkina Faso was helping the FBI prevent more attacks on American soil. This means that while President Trump was attacking President Traoré, he was actively protecting American citizens. The revelation completely destroyed Trump's position. How could he justify attacking a leader who was saving American lives in real time? Social media exploded again. Ibrahim saving American lives while Trump attacks him is peak irony. Burkina Faso protecting America better than the American government itself. Trump should be thanking Ibrahim, not threatening him. The Pentagon quickly issued a statement. We confirm valuable cooperation with Burkina Faso security forces in counterterrorism operations. President Traoré is a reliable partner in the global fight against terrorism. Even the CIA, usually silent, issued a statement. Intelligence shared by Burkina Faso has been instrumental in preventing terrorist attacks against American interests. Trump's position had become untenable. How could he justify attacks on a leader who was actively protecting America? Trump desperately tried to save face. I have always said we need international cooperation, he claimed, but it was too late. Videos of his threats to Ibrahim had already been viewed millions of times. Trump threatened a man who was saving American lives, ran the Washington Post headline, calling it an unprecedented level of presidential irresponsibility. Over the next 48 hours, Trump's political standing deteriorated rapidly. Republican leaders, normally loyal to him, began publicly questioning his competence after threatening a leader who was saving American lives. The president has completely lost perspective, a senior Republican senator said in an interview with Fox News. Ibrahim Traoré deserves gratitude, not threats. Opinion polls showed a free fall. Trump's approval rating fell 12 points in 2 days, the biggest drop of his presidency. Americans will not tolerate threats against leaders who protect them, a Republican pollster said. Trump crossed a line he shouldn't have crossed. More devastatingly, families of the Los Angeles victims began publicly criticizing Trump. My son died in L.A. while the president attacked a man who prevented more deaths, a victim's mother said in an interview with CNN. Trump should have been working with Ibrahim, not threatening him. Democrats in Congress introduced a motion of censure against Trump for threatening a friendly leader during a national crisis and compromising national security through inappropriate diplomacy. Even Fox News, normally a Trump ally, began questioning his actions. President Trump was wrong to attack a leader who was actively helping America. The lead anchor said, "This is not America first. This is America alone." Meanwhile, Ibrahim was receiving invitations from American universities, think tanks, and military organizations to speak on effective counterterrorism. President Traoré has demonstrated a skill that we want to study, the West Point commandant said. His method saved lives on a shoestring budget. Calls for Trump's impeachment began circulating on social media. Trump threatened a leader who was saving American lives. Impeach Trump. In just 48 hours, the confrontation had transformed Trump from a sitting president to a political liability, while elevating Ibrahim to a respected international statesman. Sometimes, a political analyst commented, underestimating an adversary is more dangerous than overestimating him. Trump learned that in the most public way possible. A week after clash, Ibrahim Traoré was in Washington, D.C., not as a target of attacks, but as an honored guest of the U.S. Congress. Bipartisan leadership had invited him to a special session on effective international counterterrorism cooperation. President Traoré, the House Speaker, said in his introduction, "Your dignity during this difficult time and continued assistance in saving American lives deserve formal recognition from this nation." Ibrahim, addressing the historic joint session, was respectful but firm. "Honorable members of Congress, I have come not to receive praise, but to build partnerships that save lives on both our continents." The Los Angeles tragedy reminds us that terrorism knows no borders, nor can our response know the boundaries of national pride or geographic prejudice. Applause echoed for minutes. Some have questioned whether young Africans can teach America about security. That's the wrong question. The right question is, can we learn from each other to protect all our people? Ibrahim detailed Burkina Faso's methods: community intelligence, low-impact operations, prevention rather than reaction. We spend $50 million a year and eliminate terrorism, not because we are superior, but because we have developed different approaches. America can teach the world about technology, resources, logistics, but Burkina Faso can teach about efficiency, community engagement, prevention. Together, we are stronger. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Even Republicans, normally critical of foreign leaders, applauded enthusiastically. A senior Republican senator commented after the session, "Ibrahim Traoré showed more statesmanship in 1 hour than many politicians do in their entire careers." Trump, watching from the Oval Office, was furious but helpless. Trying to attack Ibrahim again would be political suicide after Congress had officially honored him. How the hell did this African kid become an American hero? Trump muttered to aides, who remained diplomatically silent. The answer was obvious. Ibrahim had demonstrated leadership, dignity, and competence where Trump had shown impulsiveness, anger, and inadequacy. 6 months after the confrontation that shocked the world, the geopolitical transformation was complete and irreversible. Trump had lost re-election, with the Los Angeles disaster cited as the defining moment when voters realized his unsuitability for office. Ibrahim Traoré was in New York, addressing the UN General Assembly as rotating president of the Security Council, the first time a Burkinabe leader had held such a prestigious position. 6 months ago, during the tragedy in Los Angeles, the world saw two approaches to leadership, he told the packed auditorium of world leaders. One based on anger, threats, and blame, the other based on cooperation, competence, and compassion. History will judge which approach truly protects people and promotes peace. The audience, including 127 heads of state, knew they were listening to one of the most respected voices in international politics. Ibrahim's counterterrorism methods were now studied in 47 countries, with delegations visiting Burkina Faso monthly for training. The Traoré model had become the international standard for effective counterterrorism, with limited resources. The young president whom Trump tried to humiliate had become a teacher for the entire world. The Financial Times editorialized, "It shows that wisdom has no age limits or geographical boundaries." Trump, living in Mar-a-Lago after his election defeat, occasionally watched news reported Ibrahim's continued successes with a mixture of regret and resentment. "I could have worked with him instead of attacking him," he admitted in a rare moment of self-reflection to a biographer. In Burkina Faso, citizens celebrated their young president's transformation into a global statesman. "Ibrahim put us on the world map," a farmer said in Ouagadougou. "Now the world respects us." A year later, Ibrahim received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from the new American president, the highest civilian honor the United States can bestow. President Traoré exemplifies values that America aspires to: courage under pressure, grace in victory, service above self. The president said during the ceremony. In his acceptance speech, Ibrahim was characteristically humble. "This honor is not mine. It belongs to all who believe that true leadership comes from lifting others up, not putting them down." The confrontation that Trump thought would be an easy victory had become a defining moment that elevated African leadership and demonstrated to the world that competence, not arrogance, determines true greatness. Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories about justice and comeback victories that will restore your faith in standing up for what's right.